So, the following program is brought to you by Haymarket Books. And at a time like this, radical ideas are obviously needed more than ever. And Haymarket, as well as producing these virtual events, brings out books by Arundhati Roy, Kianga Yamada Taylor, Angela Davis, Naomi Klein, and many other wonderful writers. And if you're moved by any of the program that you're about to see, you can support the work of Haymarket by buying their books from their own website. And even better, you can join the Haymarket Book Club.
Gather my wins, I bring the focus in perspective again. Pen strokes for a poet I lend. Words potent, you can quote or condemn. Though these friends, rather we grin. I brought the hopeless to object my offense. Words choking the wind, had to write it all down. I forget to forgive, charge it to my heart, my mind never been on the fence. Too much loss at the cost of my hands. That experience alone, too great the expense. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley oh so low to satisfy my soul, feed the highs and lows, and no one knows. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low to satisfy your love, feed the highs and lows,
You are rocking with the homage, y'all. We're about to get the BreakBeat Poets Live started. DJ Maseo in the frame, in the picture, looking very lovely. Thanks for rocking with us, y'all. Tell a homie, tell a friend. We're about to get started in just a few minutes.
Satisfy your love, feed the highs and lows. No one knows. Ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low. Satisfy your love, feed the highs and lows. No one knows. Feed the highs and lows. No one knows. Buscando en los mundos que van, o en el cielo donde estás. Nadie sabe de este amor, como latidos del corazón. Mira cómo juegan las puertas. Buscando en los mundos que van, o en el cielo donde estás. Nadie sabe de este amor, como latidos del corazón.
Yes, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the chapter 1 of the BreakBeat Poets Live. You've been listening to the incredible squad, the Omais. Fellas, there are people who want you to drop the names of those tracks. I don't know if those are all unreleased joints, but the Omais are one of my favorite bands in the city and beyond, a new soul outfit out of the city of Chicago. Idris Goodwin, you in the building, my man?
Oh yeah, always. What it do, Kevin Coval?
Yo, man, it's good to have you alongside as we kind of steer this first contingent of the BreakBeat Poets Live, man. Inaugural, yes, if you will.
You know, it's funny. I always love the Omais, listening to the Omais, because it reminds me of the band that I once had. I don't know if you knew, I also had a band back in the day, Kevin Coval, and we were called the Good Muggas.
I didn't know that was the name, actually.
They wasn't ready for the Good Muggas. So I love the Omais because they just remind me of they just pick it up on the tradition that I started. But I don't need the credit.
I do love that when a way to give a compliment is be like, yo, you remind me of me, and I'm dope as fuck. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm entering middle age, Kevin Coval, and
listen, thank you for paving the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Wow, get your flowers while you're here, man. This is what it is.
What I'm saying? Hey, listen.
So Idris Goodwin,
many vases.
That's right. There are people who are in the chat, and I want to say shout out to so many of the folks who are tuning in and listening. I see our man Jose Olivares, the editor of the current Latinx anthology, alongside of Willie Perdomo. Felicia Rose Chavez is in the chat. Maya Marshall, the series managing editors, in the chat. A lot of good homies, Frank among them, are in the chat. Tarfia, who's in this reading, is in the chat being like, what's up, y'all? You know what I mean? Which is very cool.
She's going to be her own hype man. She's going to be her own hype woman. She's going to be her own hype woman.
Exactly. So we're going to get into it. But Idris, man, I have to give you props, as I am known to do. I hope you feel that.
But many vases for these flowers.
Listen, but we were in a conversation a long time ago, maybe like 8, 9, 10 years ago. We were on the phone, as we tend to be, right? We were verbose motherfuckers.
We was on the rodeo.
Exactly. We had to, I had to dial into my kitchen and, like bring the cord around to sit in the living room. And we were talking about what, I was essentially saying, like, I want to do this anthology, kind of like like Amiri's Black Fire, or Donald Allen's New American Poetry Joint, or Dudley Randall's The Black Poets, blah, blah, blah. I want to get us all together and have the folks who I love, who are doing this aesthetic work and don't, get much play from the institutions, don't get much play, from the traditional canon. I want to make up our own shit. And you dropped science on me that day, as you tend to do, if I'm going to be frank.
Listen, the lab coat stays pressed, brother.
Yeah, and in that conversation, you're like, yo, we're the BreakBeat Poets.
I did say that.
And you said it matter of factly, on just some like, you know what I mean? This is light work for me right now. And I don't,
it's here, man.
Exactly. And, but yo, I mean, so shout to you for coining the phrase. Even at that time, fam, like, what did you mean by that shit?
Well, for me, it was just fairly intuitive, right? I think most of us that come up with hip hop, it's in our bodies. We do the dances. You know what I'm saying? Like you learn the rhymes, you learn the dance. You know, it's just in the DNA. It's in the body. So you know, I think our approach to language, it's just to honor that intuitive place that gets us open, right? The break beats got MCs open, got dancers open, and that was the whole objective of break beats in the first place. Is the DJs were like, yo, this is the part of the record that gets people the most open. And so, you know, it's not about rhyming. It's not about, you know what I'm saying, this reference or that reference or anything that remotely looks like on a shallow level, like, you know, corporate hip hop. It's about like the writer feeling empowered to just write from a real place of openness, of rawness. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, if the poem, for me, a good breakbeat poem makes people do the same kind of ugly face they do when they hear a beat that's nasty. You know, like, so that's what I meant by it. It's just like, you know, I appreciate all of poetry, all of language, all, the history of literature, whatever, but not as much as I appreciate Fear of a Black Planet.
Let's go. Yeah. Well, I think, I feel you. And I think this is the contribution is that I think these albums can stand next to these books and be in conversations with these books, and the poets and the MCs and all the artists can be in the cipher together. There's going to be a lot of ugly faces in the room tonight because we have a star-studded cast. Just to run it back, you know, our house band tonight are the incredible new soul band, the Omize. We have also tonight, we have Roy, you'll hear from Roy Kinsey, one of my favorite rappers in Chicago and beyond, the mighty Krista Franklin, Tafia Faizula is in the building. We also have my man's Willie Perdomo, and I think we're going to get it started, Idris, if you're ready to do so.
Let's get it.
With a young woman who is the current Chicago Youth Poet Laureate for the 1920, a two-time member of the Young Chicago Authors Artistic Apprenticeship Program called the Bomb Squad. Her work's been featured all over the place, including in the brand new Breakbeat Poets volume number 4, the Latinx volume. She is a Brian M. Press editor's pick and was awarded the 2018 Literary Award by Julian Randall. She's performed at the 2019 Obama Foundation Summit, Pitchfork Music Festival, other venues in Chicago and beyond. She just graduated high school and will be attending, Idris, I don't know if you've heard of this place, but Penelope Alegria will be attending Jose Olivar's alma mater. She'll be attending Harvard College.
It's like an up and coming, like kind of little liberal arts school.
Yeah, they're trying to get their name out there, you know. But I think Penelope gonna rep lovely.
All right. Go ahead.
So y'all, without further ado, the current Chicago Youth Poet Laureate, make some noise for Penelope Alegria.
Hello. Yeah, I've been getting shit about Harvard for days now from my parents, so I'm glad to feel the love. Awesome. So this first poem, I have 3 poems I'm going to read today. The first poem is a poem that is featured in the anthology. It is back from when I was writing a series of kind of rewriting and reworking popular family stories. I realized that all the narratives that I was hearing were from my father's perspective, and so I wanted to write poems that were kind of centered around my mother and how she felt about everything that was happening at that time. So anyways, this is found in the anthology. It's called La Guitarra Llora When My Parents Meet. Y al ver que inútilmente te envío mis palabras, llorando mi guitarra, se deja oír su voz. Is what the guitar hustler sings. The day his brown eyes meet her brown eyes. An off-key song of poverty as passengers swing on and off in Migro, the small green buses of Lima. His jutting headstalks swaying with a melody, serenading eyes that have learned to take no notice. His brown eyes have learned to take no notice. As vendors shoulder their way through the jungle of limbs, shouting, "Tamarino chicha choclo," competing with him for spare change. The arms, legs, and heads crammed in a Micro sway as the small green bus swerves around missing manhole covers. The putrid mist from open sewer lids wrinkles noses. Amid the overcrowding, the hustlers, the street vendors, her brown eyes have learned to take no notice. So, on this night, on the way home from the hospital where she is a secretary, when the sweet garbage stench washes in and mixes with the body odor of the guitar hustler shoving a jingling cup into her chest, she looks over his black hair as the city lights blur past. Her forehead glistens with humidity, droplets roll down her spine, her hair frizzes like blonde cotton candy. Compressed in the aisle, her sweaty knuckles brace herself to the back of a seat, and as the guitar hustler moves on, her stare slips, and her brown eyes meet his brown eyes. He's seen her get on. He's been waiting to say something, thinking of the right words as he sings along. She's the only blonde in a sea of brown, in the jungle of legs and sweaty heads and jutting elbows. His brown eyes meet her brown eyes. She responds by pushing her way through the people to exit El Micro. There's something about her worth following, so he shoulders past a tamarindo vendor, catches up to her on the street, grasps for her fingertips, and their eyes meet. The kiosk sells single cigarettes, and she doesn't even smoke, but there's something about him worth smoking for. She coughs, coughs, coughs. Her brown eyes meet his brown eyes, and the question marks exhaled from her lungs hanging in the air between them become ellipses, which he flirts with. Cansado de llamarte, con mi alma destrozada, comprendo que no vienes porque no quiere Dios, y al ver que inútilmente te envío mis palabras, llorando mi guitarra, se oír su voz. Awesome. So that was the first poem. Thank you all. Awesome. I'm just going to move on straight to the second one. The second one is a sort of Genesis story. The first poem was more about how my parents met, kind of telling them their story. But this second poem is kind of how I see myself fitting into who they are and their journey. And kind of seeing all of that morph together. So this poem is called Self-Portrait as the Miracle My Parents Pegged Me For. Milagro isn't just my middle name. Milagro is a cavern echo of my mom's empty womb. When a decade of Lima's obstetrics didn't calm me down from the heavens, my parents tried again in Chicago. For 12 years, my dad hugged my mom after checkups and held her hand under fluorescent lights. 12 years of waiting rooms would make a pincushion out of any other woman, but in every injection, hope. In every surgery, faith. In every stomach scar, a strong hand's resolve. God knows the head nod of my mom's Padre Nuestro, the crease of my dad's shut eyes under the Addison Cathedral stained Jesus glass. Milagro is the Spanish prayers finally breaking through the clouds. Milagro is the epilogue of my mom's nightly terror, a cold coat of fear that her bloodline was dripping dry like a leaky faucet. My middle name is a birthmark, some splotched skin my parents thumb for record of God's will. To see my parents' plane ticket to O'Hare, the one way they took in search of hope and doctors and firstborns, just grab my birth certificate. To behold the debt that can never be repaid, just say my full legal name. Milagro is a 3-syllable summary of eternal expectation, an immortal tick that bugs me to take the trash out, to finish my science packet, to wipe the tears after my friends fight. But I don't fret. I grew up sacred. I was born with a halo. We're all a miracle at some point. and don't I know it? Cool, 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 cool. Awesome. I have one final poem for you all. I hope you're enjoying the show. But this last poem is also about my mother. Yeah, this is when I told her that I love to write and that I would probably be doing this for the rest of my life. And my mom's such a practical woman. She was like, oh my God, she had a panic attack. But this is kind of a portrait of that conversation she had with me. This next poem is called You Will Not Work Like a Donkey, Portrait of My Mom's Worry. The slaughterhouse looms between the sea and the sunrise. Is there before the day calls, when your art doesn't pick up the phone bill, when you trot towards the bus and gray cow intestines. I know. Your art doesn't need electricity until after it's shut off. Here's the hum of heat when it's finally cold and the factories are closed. Your art forgets some purpose. Before I moved here, before I met your dad, I used to live with the animals. I fed the rooster and walked the dog. I sat in a cart and made the donkey pull. I left the slaughterhouse because I hated killing animals, slitting their throats and peeling their skin. I know. Everything is bright when you're young and getting paid, but one of these days you'll be old and can't sleep in. One of these days there won't be running water to wash off the dirt head and crusting blood under your fingernails. I left the slaughterhouse, but one of these days you'll recognize its dawn shadow. I know. When your art doesn't cut it anymore, you'll know what it is to clock in and step on a chicken head. You'll know what it is to clock out and know the mule is next. Awesome. Thank you all.
Fam, Penelope, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yo.
Everything's bright when you're young and getting paid is a Pusha T line. You should sell that line to Pusha T right now. That's
no, I would be pleased and also slip that, like, I think Drake would be pleased that Penelope was Pusha T's ghostwriter, because that would maybe revive the battle, and
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that would get Drake back for another round.
Exactly. Penelope,
at least
go ahead.
Please. Nothing I was gonna say is useful.
I disagree, but the future is bright, fam. Right? Penelope is fire.
These young people got me stressing, got me drinking smoothies.
Well, you could make sure you follow all these writers. They do incredible work. One thing I'll say is that we are working on Penelope's chapbook that will be out on Haymarket Books this summer, and so keep a lookout for that. It is fire and very beautiful and important. But yeah, the future is bright, man. She is the current Chicago Youth Poet Laureate and stands in a really rich tradition of folks who came before her as well. So shout out to Kara Jackson, Pat Frazier, Iman Loren. It's a really great squad of very talented folks. So
absolutely, yeah. Salutes.
Idris, you good? We could transition into the next.
I mean, I feel like we gotta get the people what they want. They clamoring. They don't want to hear us all day. Just giving unmitigated praise. We got a show to run. Let's get into it.
I'm excited, man. The next young gentleman who is coming to the mic is the author of The Crazy Bunch, which recently won the New York City Book Award for Poetry, the Essential Hits of Shorty Bonbon, a finalist for the National Book Critics Award, Smoking Lovely, winner of the Penn Open Book Award, and Where a Nickel Costs a Dime, a finalist for the Poetry Society of America First Book Award. He's the co-editor of Latinx BreakBeat Poets Volume Number 4. His work has appeared all over the place, including New York Times Magazine, Poetry, the Best American Poetry in 2019, and African Voices. Currently, he is a Lucas Arts Literary Fellow and teaches at Phillips Exeter Academy. Willie Perdomo is by far one of the poets that I teach the most, who gets the most love in our classrooms. His work for decades now resonates and inspires generations of all of us to continue to do this work. Without further ado, in the building, Willie Perdomo. What's up, Will?
Oh, what's happening, man? Yeah, man, the BreakBeat Poets, man, the series is really special, I think. Like having been at the vanguard of a few movements like the New Rican Poets Cafe early 90s, the HBO Deaf Poetry when that kicked off, the Poetry Gods, this whole Breakbeat series and with the first volume. Basically, they all seem like these kind of hip hop, but like jazz movements to me, in that, you know, we keep trying to create harmony out of some sort of conflict, but we're not afraid to kind of confront the conflict with our different voices, you know. So it's good to be down with the crew, man, with the Breakbeat Poets crew, and you know, like a serialized novel, man. Hopefully, you know, we have a whole bunch more chapters in the Breakbeat Poets Live to go as we continue, man. So I'm gonna kick just a few poems. I'm gonna follow Penelope's lead in terms of, I have like 3 pieces here. I got some new shit I want to read that I've been trying out in this Zoom sphere. You know, that's been kind of weird, you know, but just kind of trying it out as I go along. It's called This, That, and the Third. This one I'll give you from the top of my dome. No copies, no bootlegs. My last line took a road shaped more like a wrong turn down the right block, but it's too early to pull out the scale. Much respect for your thinking. The mic is now open and you can no longer see the world through a book's eyes. I'm here to recall everything at the end of my stay. Forget it. I want a tombstone, a life study of me carrying God on my back. I started my day with an inventory. In the bathroom mirror, there's me and then there's me. I wouldn't say that I was untouchable, but my throat was a drum. Picture me a pigeon surveying a square in old Havana from the top of Jose Marti's bronze head, rocking a straw brim just like the sun. There's a duplicate cry on the bench. A gang of hawks circle above me. Revolution has never seen its own reflection. The big eye watches the hoods and makes avenue plans. And meanwhile, who got the best bag of illness and joy? I ain't talking about your legacy panels. I'm saying I'm crazy familiar with the art of choking. I've been invisible to more history than I asked for. So I ask you again, why wait until tomorrow? Like I said at the top of the show, I'm down to run with this dream. Pedagogical romanticism leads to bad verse, all palettes segregate, present condition excluded. Secondary discourses lead to Creole thesis. Primary discourses leads to faking the funk. The grid is long, homie, so you must play your position before you get played out. Picture me coming up for air in a free mix of blackness. And all I want in the down home is one last swim in a cool glass of water. Hold up, though. If a block of ice knows its life under heat, how long must I wait on a rope's tug? And didn't your trees come with prompts? I swear these months have been sincere. Didn't we meet somewhere? Now back to your change. Are you ready to give it away with all those ashes in your face? How many of those humble pies can you eat in one place? There seems to be an aura of oppression in this room. I can smell all the don'ts and the doom. Didn't I tell you, boy? Didn't I tell you you're gonna need a metro car for that dream? And the city should start taxing reciprocity, she added, but if you decide to run from a badge, grab a fistful of deceased leaves, and you better remember what you learned during story hour. This is from a book I just wrote called The Crazy Bunch. This poem is called Bullshit Walks. Bullshit steps to a global beat, buffs a shine for his smile from a green mile away and daps you a strong pound. Say, we boys, bro. We boys. Styles and profiles, 2 on the hip and raps along with booming parties and bullshit. Yawns in between fibs to pregnant women and flips on demand. There should be a special car on the 2 train just for bullshitters laughing the night away and choking on an extra snack box with extra lies. They won't find us in books. And after we officially gained entry into the brotherhood of bad motherfuckers, what could our mothers do but lose sleep? Wake into prayer, prepare herbs and apples, cursive the names of our enemies on loose leaf and let their names dust in the sunlight. Now everything is clean, rezoned and paved, Tenements abandoned like whack parties. What is left for us to do but summon bullies from their graves and liberate ourselves from influence? Gone are the old spots near the takeout, old flames where we used to make out, the spots where the light used to fade out, and the letters we wrote from all those burning buildings. Our shoulders were made of stone, our evil was translucent. Turn us into mortals so we can cry without judgment, surrender our cool, and watch us morph into men. Let it be known that we chased killer dealers before the cans got kicked for good. We were made from repeating blocks. Holler if you hear us. There was never once upon a time, because all it takes is one person to get away with it, to get away and get over, to get some and get up. Here we go. Come on. Here we go. You are history, you said. If being free means burning a few things, then play that number for us straight. The corner was between us and the world, and sometimes you needed to be okay with not telling. If anyone asks you about your destiny, don't explain. Maybe this is a story we need to turn ourselves into music, bass and bully, a string pulling at both ends. They won't find us in books, you used to say. Everybody say, yeah. You don't stop. We practice our lives in lobbies and layaway ganders and goofs, boosting lines from the radio, breaking dynamite styles. We were God bodies. We had God in our bodies. That's what Brother Lowe used to say. He used to say, a man can stand on the corner long enough to see a dream etched on a herb's forehead, to see desperation exit from the subway station, to see a tragic hero come back to reclaim his city. So we downloaded his bars and gems, and no doubt, when it was time to tell our story, out would come fire and spit. Right on, yo.
Yo, Willie Perdomo, ladies and gentlemen. It is, yo, Will, the brotherhood of bad motherfuckers. Yes, sir. Thank you, man. Thank you for blessing the space with all them bars. Idris Goodwin, that's how I think about the Breakbeat Poets, kind of, you know what I mean? Gender aside, that, certainly the binary has been rendered to be obsolete. But that's how I consider this band of very dope bar spitters, is to be just a very excellent crew. You're on mute, by the way, Idris.
Yeah, because what could be said after that? What could be said? So I had to put myself on mute. What could be said? There were so many here's the thing that we saw with both of these poets thus far, right? Is there are so many. It's that attention to the line. You know what I mean? That they're these standalone lines that are just like bars. That's why we say bars. It's like they're just these lines that are so ferocious and could just like stand alone. And it's not saying that that like other generations, traditions, threads of poetry don't also have that on occasion. But I think with us, there is an insistence of that. That is an aspiration, but to have these darts, these lines that are just like critical.
Yeah, man. And Willie, one of the things I love about Will is all the voices he has in his poems. You know what I mean? Like all the little asides and storytelling that he does. I mean, I feel, first of all, he has a great voice and you kind of want to hear him voice over everything. But I also, when he reads sometimes and be telling stories and characters pop up in the narrative of the poem and he does the little aside voice, I also want the Willie Perdomo cartoon, you know what I mean? So you could get all his characters in the mix and he could kind of like illustrate the world, which he does such a brilliant job of illustrating the world that he inhabits, and
that's MC shit. I mean, that's MC shit. That's like, the best MCs, they take you into a reality, and when you put, the track on, you're not just hearing like, you're meeting all the other people, and I love that. I remember like hearing Willie tell the stories of the Crazy Bunch, before he wrote the book, The Crazy Bunch. So when I picked up The Crazy Bunch, there was already a sense of familiarity. So much like, the Marvel Comics universe or the just George Lucas universe or whatever. Like, writers and musicians also have these universes that they create. You know what I mean?
I feel like you're saying that my shit is animated.
It is animated. Yeah, like in the illest way, right? That's true though, Will, right? Like your shit comes to life. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's an invitation. All this is an invitation into the worlds that we inhabit, and that's part of the magic that we make. You know what I mean?
Yes, indeed.
So salutes. Idris, let's keep it moving, fam. I want to remind folks that this evening, BreakBeat Poets Live Chapter 1 is brought to you by Haymarket Books. And you could support Haymarket Books by obviously getting the books that folks are in. You could also make a solidarity donation to support the artists that you see tonight. The money goes to the artists, and we want to pay them for the labor. That's what Haymarket believes, and I know that's what we believe as artists who need that bread. So please, y'all, consider making a solidarity donation tonight. And you could find all the information below in the YouTube page, and you can make donations at haymarketbooks.com and buy the books themselves. I'm excited to introduce our next poet to the Zoom space, to the YouTube live space. Tarfia Faizullah is the author of 2 poetry collections, Registers of the Illuminated Villages and Seam, the recipient of a Fulbright Fellowship, 3 Pushcart prizes and other honors. Tarfia has been featured in periodicals, magazines, anthologies here and abroad, internationally known. Tarfia presents work at institutions, organizations all across the planet, and collaborates with photographers, producers, composers, filmmakers, musicians, visual artists, and has resulted in several interdisciplinary projects. In 2016, Idris, Tarfia was recognized by Harvard Law School as one of 50 women inspiring change, and in 2019 became a United States Artist Fellow. She is in also the 3rd BreakBeat Poetry Anthology, Halal. If you hear me, please, y'all, welcome Tarfia Faizullah.
Hi, y'all. Thanks so much for having me. I'm not doing video today. I'm doing this thing. It's the month of Ramadan right now, and it's the last week, and it's the home stretch. I can do it. And so I'm playing with this thing that I'm calling a virtual veil, and it's actually a lot harder to do than I thought it was going to be, in part because I'm vainer than I thought I was, but I'm very, very lucky and happy to see all of y'all's beautiful faces tonight. I'm going to read a couple of poems. I've been thinking a lot about Bangladesh and the cyclone that's about to hit. I have a lot of family there. My family's from Bangladesh. And so I'm thinking a lot about how it seems like we're sort of dealing with a lot of old demons as well as new demons right now too. And I really wish that I could be with my people there. So this is a poem for my people in Bangladesh. It's called En route to Bangladesh, Another Crisis of Faith. We pass over heavy shadows of large clouds pinned to train cars, lined up like unused blocks of colored chalk, red, then green, blue, then orange, until we are propelled higher, and the trains are swallowed by these jagged strictures of land that are no longer sand, nor rock, nor water, but a child's drawing instead, until the distant ocean is the only fabric that fills this punched out plastic hole of a window, that is the blue that falls over everything that is everything, blue on blue on blue, like the one seam of light left always on the airplane ceiling that the pale plastic shades cannot shut away, until that narrow vein of light is the only belief left, a cream thick ribbon across our eyes. This next poem is called You're Not Exotic, but Once You Wanted to Be. Whenever folks discuss finding themselves, you get kind of giggly. Maybe because you found yourself considering your Armenian love who preferred you in both corset and bindi, and it was for her you begrudgingly waxed your. You find yourself in the fret of reclamation via Musk's All Motherland Misty, coconut milk, marine accord, mimosa tree. Last weekend, you found yourself in leggings to argue again with your Dominican love over the tender texture of Texas tamales. You not so secretly want to find yourself in a garden, kissing a risk-taking party until you feel as delicious as a half-price smoothie. Somehow, identity never finds you, coal-eyed in magenta blooms, photographed by a mixed-race admirer on a humid evening. Mostly because you're too busy galaxy gazing to be anyone's so fair and lovely. Was that a touch of pride or self-pity? Probably. But you just can't deal with another stranger's surprise at your love of both tequila and mango lassies. Does your Guyanese love truly expect you to replace the chicken and fish in your diet with mushrooms that arbitrarily? You're so Black, you're told pretty frequently, and you don't know what to make of it. Humanity. Ever find yourself advised by Bangladeshi Brooklynites? Like they know your babe poetry. Loves, let's stop projecting insecurities. Never don't find yourself pouring what music can be cleaved from a dull language into an anomalous nationality. A personal theory, we all behave oddly around fat titties. Now here poetry comes to say she wants to be an ode to what is muddy. Okay, baby. Here's to dank, difficult borders, gardens of ingrown perennials, fractured fins, the wings of inner menageries. Here's to our own empires of dirt, no one's pruned or perfumed colonies of exotic beauty. This is not a poem, or is it an efficient exercise in surviving hysteria? Thanks so much, y'all.
Tarfia, that was fire. Thank you so much. Yeah, love the set. I also love the virtual veil. I think that's incredible. And I hope you and all of our Muslim brothers and sisters and everybody is having an easy fast during Ramadan. I would imagine that this is never an easy time, but this is also kind of an odd time to do anything. So I would imagine fasting and observing now is very, very trying. So I hope everyone is hanging in. And Tarfia, thank you so much for joining us and blessing the cipher with these bars. Idris, how you feel?
Yeah, I'm feeling great, man. This is a beautiful space. Oh, of course, all day.
Yeah.
What's up? This is really special. Kevin Coval. I think we'd be remiss not to point out that while it is true that I did, in fact, say that little thing to you on the phone that one day about wouldn't it be cool if, there was this thing called the BreakBeat Poets. But if you had not taken steps after that, along with Haymarket Books and the rest of the cohort, we would not be sitting here now. There would not be all these subsequent books and things like that. So really quickly for the people, when you heard me say that, what vision did you have? Like what steps did you take in order to bring us all together under all of these many pages and pages and pages and words and words and words and words?
Well, now I feel gassed, so I appreciate you. You know what I mean? Thank you very much.
Listen, man, I'm a history buff. I just tell a story. You know what I'm saying? Because if I don't tell my story, we just gonna get his story.
Listen, okay. Okay. Speak on
right.
then. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? God body in God's body. You know what I'm saying?
Shout I will. Okay. That's a callback. Like I was saying though, man, I was already like in pursuit of wanting to create an anthology that brought us together. Like the book, the first book of poems that moved me was Dudley Randall's The Black Poets, that came out on a Detroit-based, shout out Detroit in the Midwest all day, Detroit-based press, Curbside Press. And that was the first place I read. I was 15, 16 years old, sitting cross-legged in the public library, weeping when I read Haki Madhubuti and Miss Brooks and Amir Baraka and Sonia Sanchez and Jane Cortez for the first time. And that just led me to explore and want to read poems that were from the mouths of people who worked and struggled to make work possible for many more others than themselves. And I felt very distant in my poetry classes, and it wasn't in high school. Like I fucking hated the shit, but it was when I went out into the world and found my brethren in ciphers. When I saw like the random ass hip hop kid on a bus or the train, and I'd be like, yo, in the day, I'd be like, yo, do you like hip hop? And I've just always been seeking that community, because being a Midwest kid, you have to go find your people at the time. You have to go leave your house and connect with the people. And so the anthology was an opportunity to do that on the page. Is that I had a hunch that there were many others like me, hip hop generation kids who were doing this poetic on the page, but listening deeply to the music and taking in the aesthetics and really changing the way poetry was done. I felt that, and it was a hunch, and I feel like we're showing improving on a regular basis.
Well, yeah, man, that's amazing. And so, but yeah, just wanted to I think it's important for people to hear that story, that like we all on day-to-day basis have these ideas, these notions, these visions. It's a whole other thing to make it so. It's a lot of it's a lot of work, a lot of sweat, a lot of emails, a lot of trust, but here we are. And so this is a real movement. And someday some other person's gonna be cross-legged in the library, cracking open Halal If You Hear Me, or the Latinx, or the first joint Black Girl Magic, or all the subsequent solo joints, single releases, like Can I Kick It, for example.
I mean, for instance,
whatever. I'm just whatever, any book can come.
Yeah. But off top.
Yeah. So anyway, man.
No, well, you're right, man. I appreciate you. And honestly, man, it's when I knew the shit was real. Even when I was younger, when I started to meet people like you, when I met Willie Perdomo, I think in '99, when I met the dear homie Krista Franklin, in 02 or something like that, or 03, Krista, who I'm about to introduce, shared with me a flyer from 04, a gallery show where we exhibited some of her beautiful, brilliant collages. And that's, that shit already is 16 years ago. And it was when I started to meet people who, game recognized game. And so I would read people's work, or I hear them spit, and I'd be like, oh shit, we are of a similar cloth. You know what I mean? And so wanting to
always been, sorry to cut you off, but like that has always been something. I think this is the other gift to give the many listeners, is that one of your mutant powers, your X-Men powers, is the ability to spot the people, but you don't spot the people and go like, damn, fuck that person, they so talented. You know what I mean? You spot that person and you bring them in. You know what I mean? You bring them into the squad, and you're like Tony Stark in a way, much like he was with the Avengers. But anyway, listen, we gotta keep this thing moving. We gotta keep this show going.
Let's do it. I appreciate you, man.
I'm metaphors.
It's all animated tonight. I'm gonna introduce the homie. Krista Franklin is a writer and visual artist. I mean, and if we're gonna be real, just like top 5, like just any category. Like, you don't want it with her. She's too nice. The author that she just dropped this incredible, beautiful text. It's beyond genre. It's a book of her poems and visual art. Too Much Midnight on Haymarket Books. She's put out the artist book Under the Knife and the chapbook Study of Love and Black Body. She is the recipient of the Joan Mitchell Foundation Painters and Sculptures Grant and a frequent contributor to the projects of fellow artists. Her visual art has exhibited at the Poetry Foundation, the Rootwork Gallery, the Museum of Contemporary Photography, Studio Museum in Harlem, the Chicago Cultural Center, the National Museum of Mexican Art, and the set of 20th Century Fox's Empire. She's been on TV, y'all, and has been published in Poetry, Black Camera, The Offing, Vinyl, and a number of anthologies and artist books, including I think the first and the second Breakbeat joint. She currently teaches at writing at the School of the Art Institute in Chicago. One of the illest to do it, y'all. Krista Franklin.
Yeah. Yo, what's up? Thank you for inviting me to be a part of this amazing lineup. I feel very honored. So many, homies to like comrades, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so much love up in this room right here. So I'm, and idols too, man. Willie, back in the day when I was just a shorty, a young one, coming up. So, okay, I'm going to read a couple pieces, and 2 from the book, Too Much Midnight. And then I'm going to read something that I don't really read publicly very often, but I'm going to read it tonight. It's The Skin That Tells. 1. It's the skin that tells the tale, the tone marred by chromosomes of beasts, brothers, the sign of something insidious risen up in flesh. Black women's thighs pale as the men who fathered them, some animal whose smile can still be seen with a body burning as backdrop. The cross stitch of power and powerless erupting into red bone, the swarthy surprise of Aryans. 2. The sight of angels will turn your eyes to ash. Once I saw the mark of Auschwitz inscribed on the arm of one of the sweetest men I've ever met. For years, I wore the coat he walked out of hell with, the ashes of his family stuck to the roof of his mouth. He turned it over to my teenage hands for me to carry, his memories. My upper arm now inked, I can never forget. 3. The brightest angel of all was wrestled right out of heaven. One evening, I sat face to face across a boy whose body was a suitcase that held a minion in it. I will never forget his gaze, how I wanted to turn from it, and the reality that sometimes we are pushed from the shells of ourselves, how flesh can be geppettoed if one isn't careful. 4. There are many ways to be a slave, to be beasted, beastly, beast. Many ways to be monster, monstrous, insidious, insidious, Auschwitz. To be grabbed, drugged, worn like a coat, weary. Many ways to be marked, marred, wrestled, wrecked, and it's always the flesh that sings, signs, squeals. Thank y'all. I'm gonna read Killing Floor, which the title is, thank y'all, which the title is taken from the poem Killing Floor. There are women who love the taste of their own blood. Most will never say this or do in hushed voices, whispers that scurry over swept floors like rodents in the dark. We catch glimpses of them from elevator cameras placed way up high where no one can reach them nor have the good sense to smash them out. Most of us bash car windows or the cheeks of the men who love us, or claim to. Cameras are too much trouble. Trouble walks on 2 feet with eyes that blaze like shot pistol, and it's often confused for desire. Or maybe it is desire, for broken flesh and mashed mouths, for the wetness of tears brushed away by thumbs in the aftermath, who knows? The unknown is alluring anyway. Identity is incidental. It's better not to know when you have an appetite for crimson. Raised voices and wrestling that masquerades as sex. How many women smack the faces of their rescuers, scream into the fullness of help? No one likes to mention this. It shatters like the mirror against the fist of a beloved. Cracks like a tooth after too much midnight. I'm gonna read this last piece. Thank y'all so much for inviting me to be a part of this cipher. Big ups to Haymarket Books. Hey, oh my, stop. ATLians. Tracy Matthews calls it perimenal memory loss. Perimenopausal memory loss. It could be all the weed though. Or maybe all the bottles, the copas, the hazes. Before all that, I was sitting in the back seat of Tanya's car, bundled up, my shoulders hunched, torso on lean, just listening. In the dark. She was in the driver's seat. Maybe Kevin and the passengers. That's lost in the haze. The speakers were sharp. Bass booming at the base of my head. I think we were in Dayton, or maybe Atlanta. On some city street, parked, just listening, and maybe intermittently screaming as we were prone to do together as highly excitable girls, best friends sitting in the car, maybe in Dayton or Atlanta. Listening as the spacecraft descended out of the speakers at the back of my head, some portal undulating open and the sound of some sirens speaking with alien tongues spilling out in the dark. And it was all so foreign and familiar. Spaceships and pimp arms, spinning rims and drum machines, stripper clubs and weed smoke, niggas in hoodies standing on corners, Martians and black paranoia. Me and Tanya encapsulated, abducted by sound, and 2 niggas in flip-flops and socks in a compact car in the dark. Me and Tanya intermittently screaming, me in the back seat, bundled up, bass at the back of my head at the threshold of a new millennium, planets and stars. Earth, Jupiter, Mars. Hoes, clothes, cars. It's who you are. Thanks, y'all.
Krista Franklin.
Yeah.
With these bars.
Okay.
Krista also she also in that last poem, she really spit for real. She was like, all right, Let me
exactly. Yeah,
let me
yeah.
get
That was
up
for
in
the
here.
heads.
Let
That
me
was
get
one
up
for
in
the
this
heads.
poem.
That was one for the heads.
Let me, yeah.
Yeah, solid set per usual. Per
Y'all,
usual.
do not sleep. Krista's Too Much Midnight is a brilliant text, something that will be read forever. It is also
Moment.
beautiful because her art is in there as well. And just if you don't have it, you do yourself a service. Like, treat yourself well tonight and get Krista's Too Much Midnight. Haymarket will put it in the notes. It's down below. Go on the website. I think Haymarket actually is still running like a half off sale for another 4 days or something like that. So it's
half off. Half off.
Get that deep discount.
Well, you could get twice as many books then, couldn't you?
That is true. That is true. So cop these books, y'all. Idris Goodwin, speaking of, you threw it out earlier, but man, you have a new joint that dropped in the fall.
Different time.
Yeah.
We was all out in the world. We was like, you know what I mean? All these various sneakers I have, I was wearing them like regularly. You know what I mean? Not just the same pair of house shoes every day. Yeah. It's a different world, man. It's a different world.
Yeah. The gross chronic grand inequity that the world continues to maintain, and that I can't rock my sneaker collection, are probably the biggest travesties of this moment.
Yeah, I mean, mostly the second thing. I mean, because the second thing was how I numbed myself to that.
Yes, exactly.
Feel me?
Exactly. Facts.
But now it's the inequity minus the sneakers.
But we were out in the world. We were doing some book tour stuff together, and you have this beautiful
nice
collection though.
Right now.
What happened?
That was a really good segue.
Hey, listen, yeah, but you don't, if you can for the people, you're gonna kick something from the book. Can I kick it?
It just so happens I have it in my hand right now.
Wow, look at that! Damn.
And full disclosure, I just walk around with it in my hand all the time. So yeah, man, I'm gonna kick a little something. Krista, per usual, like has these wonderful references to music, popular culture, music, and the like. And similarly, Can I Kick It does the same kind of work, kind of consciously engaging with pop culture and iconography and trying to say something personal. So I'm gonna kick this joint called because we've all been coping these days, and I remember my mother. I remember a time when my mother stopped listening to a lot of popular music, and she started just playing like gospel like all the time. And at the time, I was just like, "What is going on?" But I am slowly becoming. Gradually, I'm at the precipice. I'm at the foot of the mountain, but I am slowly becoming the wonderful, tremendous crown-wearing Black women who raised me in the church and sang and hummed gospel songs. I am gradually becoming them and thinking about them more and more these days. So this is a poem dedicated to them and to and this is all right. So it's called How to Listen to Gospel, an ode to Naomi Shelton. I remember when Mom took the needle off Anita Baker, Terrence Trent D'Arby. We couldn't hear the whispers begin to rock or Quincy Jones, Jazz Fuse, Mo D, and Dizzy. For a while around our suburban home, it was all the good news. Sounds of blackness, Kirk Franklin, big choirs multiplied, Nell Carter with robes swaying like shoulders in time. Every Sunday at New Calvary Baptist, it was all she needed, but I needed more. I was 18, 1 foot out, towards Chicago, where I could turn the volume up on strictly hardcore reality, where God was expressed in the cipher, a sovereign utopia, where I would black out, catch the ghosts, and string tongues like dried peppers on a New Mexico porch, making claims and setting fire to paths and bridges behind like the young are prone to do. These days, on the other side of 40, my cipher rings of deadlines, Google calendars, requests, doors, and no. Disappointments have to. Sometimes the volume goes mute. And when silence tightens, here you come. You've been singing since high school, but didn't record till you were in your 60s. You are seasoned, paprika in that voice, all that Alabama, all that disappointment, all that release, the way you give it away, you alchemize it to light and send it back down the tracks of history. Your face on the cover reminds me of my mom's mom, who always had peppermints to cool us out. With one hand formed pound cakes, the other directed us to sapling trees with adequate arms for swatting the wicked from us. That's that piece.
Yes, sir. Idris, thank you, fam. Yo.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, beautiful, man. Beautiful. That's a beautiful tribute as well. So thank you for that. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, you can buy Idris Goodwin's book, Can I Kick It, on Haymarket Books for 50% off right now.
I mean, they can get all these books.
All these books. You know what I
mean? You can get all these books. Next joint. You could get all the BreakBeat Poet anthologies. Too Much Midnight. Can I Kick It? Kevin Coval put out a book called Everything Must Go.
The Latinx joint. Hook up your summer. Joint, Hook up your summer.
Yo, your summer's about to be crazy.
Idris, I just want to shout out, man. There are a whole lot of superstars in this here chat tonight. Avery R. Young, of course, is in the place to be. Shout out Erica Foreman. A lot of superstars in the chat tonight. And I want to introduce our next act for the evening. We're gonna close out with our fifth reader, who's a performer as well. And then at the end, the Omais are also going to play us out. So we actually have a few performances left tonight. But I want to bring to the Zoom cipher a Chicago-born and raised queer identified Black rapper and librarian, Roy Kinsey. It might be an anomaly for some, but his nonconformist ideology has informed his fourth record and self-proclaimed best work yet. And I think it is Blackie, a story by Roy Kinsey. It sounds racist when I say it. Featured in and on major local, national, and international publications like Billboard, NPR, WBEZ's Vocalo, the Chicago Tribune, WGCI, and the Red Eye. Roy is all over the place. His latest video, BSAYF, exploring Black queer identity and spirituality, premiered at the Museum of Contemporary Art in Chicago, the Art Institute of Chicago. He's performed at the Harold Washington Cultural Center, the DuSable Museum. His lyrics are on stages all across the city and beyond. Roy is also a real-life librarian in the Teen Services U Media Department of Chicago Public Libraries to this day. Welcome to the Zoom cipher, my man's Roy Kinsey. What's up, Roy?
To this day.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to be doing some new music from my latest album, Kinsey, a memoir, that I'm hoping to turn into an actual book so I could be like, y'all, I'm going to do Invisible Man, and then the song after that is called Balloons. I'm honored, by the way, if I didn't say that, to be like, on the lineup with y'all. Thank you so much for having me. This was really, really beautiful. Feel alive when I'm on block. Groups who love it when they watch. One family broken block. Reiki master burst to tears soon as I laid on tape. Cane, pain, medication, feel like Abel. Stream the dream, wrote a verse that feel like cable. Mama used to tell me clean cause she ain't Mabel. Helen was a waitress, now they waiting on me. Had to do a spell, found out they hating on me. Biggest year in press, I guess they think they know me. Extra, extra red, I never felt this lonely. All this for a stage, all this to get written about on some white man webpage. Like I didn't make the art, like I didn't slave. Wrote the raps to free myself, but somehow in a cage. Oh, please validate me. Who am I without your gaze? Come here and berate me. I see the lights and roll my eyes. I wanted love that's lazy. I'm Ralph Ellis' son and the Perry feeling Katie. Feel alive when I'm on block. Groups who love it when they watch. Money, family, broke on block. Ooh, I love it when they watch. Stack it up like Lego block. Time is money, come and watch. My bid in on auction block. Ooh, I love it when they watch. It's a keyboard in front of everybody, so everybody report it. Look how good the house you was sleeping in, before you found it was out of order. I made some things you shouldn't have to watch, like a dick going to your daughter. I made tax went up like 50 cents. I made vitamin in the water. Watch CNN call it a desert. Seen a border, said you long for brick and mortar. I mean, is it that exploitive? I mean, yeah. Why it seemed I had to exploit myself to get some order. Took the long way, I should have been minding my business, drinking water, hungry for the fame, trying to pay you an attention. I can't need exposure, attention didn't pay my tuition. They'll reach for miles, they give you inches. A little attention can ruin a friendship. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. I'm asleep now cause I've been woke. Grandma put pennies off up in her trench coat. She lost the house, she lost her legs to get that injury and an insult. I feel alive when I'm on block. Groups who love it when they watch. Money, family, broke on block. Ooh, I love it when they watch. Sack it up like Lego block. Time is money, come and watch. My bid in on auction block. Ooh, I love it when they watch. This is when I feel the most God. This is when I feel the most God. This is when I feel the most God. Thank you. This next song is called Balloons. It's a song that I wanted to create to pay homage to everybody lost at Post, to everybody that fought for us at Stonewall. Yeah. Hated playing ball, Pop said you cry like a girl. Huh, that's how you survived in this world. Plus, he had a gay cousin that died. Probably by hands of somebody he liked. Now I'm in the mix. When I turned 26, he told me a joke and the punchline was this: happy as a bag with a bag full of dicks. Word association, dad, issues with dad, I miss you, was crying with, cause I want to be with you when you come to get me, why can't I go with you? I felt this by the distance, be who you need and don't ask for permission. I learned my lessons from listening, don't wait on no nigga, I don't do no bitching. But I'm getting faded, barbershop, beauty shop, kitchen. My life was belated, built my intuition. We like to party, we like to party. They came in our clubs hating, we wasn't bothering nobody. We like to party, we like to party. They came in our clubs arresting, they wasn't bothering nobody. Balloons up under my shirt. 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 They be asking me, balloons up, what does that mean? Balloons up under my shirt. Balloons up under my shirt. Balloons up under my shirt. Proposed to a lover before it was legal. Got back that he called me a faggot, I curled in a fetal. Smoking, I drinking, backseat of a Regal. I got a hard time trusting people. It means overexcited. Our lives got indicted. The love unrequited. It's guests uninvited. I love the functions where everything goes. Felt my pulse fall around my heart as a stone. I used to show out at the parties. Get lit enough that we all turning godly. I love the functions where everything goes. Didn't have a clue, but like, didn't we know? We like to party. We like to party. They came in them clubs arresting. They wasn't bothering nobody. We like to party. We like to party. He came in that club shooting. They wasn't bothering nobody. Balloons up under my shirt. Balloons up under my shirt. A lot of us used to put balloons under our shirts, act like we had titties in the stomach when we was young. Under my shirt. Balloons up under my shirt. Balloons up under my shirt. We still like to party. Balloons up under my shirt. Party, party. Balloons up under my shirt. Balloons up under my shirt. Balloons up under my shirt. Thank y'all.
Roy Kinsey, ladies and gentlemen. Yo, yeah, man. Roy is doing big things. You can stream and listen to his music right now on all platforms. Also support. You can buy his records. And so please make sure you do. Idris Goodwin, man, it's been quite an evening.
Yo, the vibes are strong, brother. The vibes are strong. Yo, there's Roy. It's
Roy Kinsey. Yeah.
Is Roy making the beats too, or is he strictly lyric man?
No, he works with producers. But Roy, yeah, who's making the beats?
So that was my guy, Lucas Hart, who made Balloons. He also did Kitchen Barber Beauty Shop on the album. And then on Invisible Man, that was Willie Beeman, who lives out in LA, who did the majority of the other tracks on the album.
Right. And Roy, people can buy hard copies of the joints as well.
Definitely. I got Blackie on vinyl, and I'll be putting Kinsey a memoir on vinyl as well. So you can buy that at roykinsey.com. It's also on Bandcamp. I was doing a little special this weekend since I had some time. So if people Venmo me the money, then I'll pull up on them and drop it off. And,
damn. Wow. That's
so.
That's service. This is essential work. Roy, thank you so much, fam.
Thank you. I
appreciate you. Yeah, Idris, man, it's been chapter 1.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
We're coming, you know what I mean? We're coming strong, coming out swinging.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I want to thank everyone who has been a part of tonight. I want to thank Tarfia and Penelope, Krista, Willie, Roy. I want to thank the Omais, who I'm going to let us play in the outro. I want to thank Haymarket Books. I want to thank Mariah Newroth for getting us organized. Jim Plank at Haymarket as well.
And now, Kev.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what you about to say?
Yeah, well, I want to thank you for rocking with me here in the inaugural chapter uno.
Yeah, this is what we do, fam. This is what we do, because this is just the beginning. I mean, that's what we're trying to say here. I mean, I hope folks are getting this message that, like phase 1 was, all the anthologies and big like bless up, and it only is working because people are like dropping so much fire in these anthologies and spreading the word and spreading the, you know what I mean? And just that people are really vibing with it and rocking with it, and people are teaching it and they're buying sets for their classes, and it's really of use. And I think in this moment we're in right now, especially, right, like this is the solve, SALVE and also SOLVE,
it's a bar in itself.
Listen, I got, I'm just a bastard.
Just dropping them.
So this is just what we doing, man. We really building it's been called a cipher a few times tonight, and that's literally what it is. It's a cipher in book form. It's a cipher in the virtual space, cipher on record, on Bandcamp, cipher when the social distancing shrinks, nothing will stop the cipher. And so with that said, Kevin Coval, you got to put something in the cipher right now and let the people know what time it is. You know what I mean? Because I know that, like behind you, I think you probably wrote half the books on that shelf right there. So why don't you
this whole joint, those are all my books right there. Those are all the books that got my name on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Give something to the people, man.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. All right.
Hot 16.
I appreciate you. This is some new shit. And Idris, we lost a lot of folks recently. And as I'm working on this new collection, it made me, I had a dream actually about this, about seeing the dear homie who we lost, Combat Jack. And so I kind of, took some of the memory of the dream and some of what I dearly miss about him. And I wrote this joint. This is Combat Jack is in a juiceria in Williamsburg. It's been a year since his passing, but walking in the $12 spot surrounded by organic carrots, ginger claws, bunches of dinosaur kale, I hear him order a cherry turmeric shot for protection in the war against the body. I swore I saw his bald head and hefty frame rooted in Timberlands and remission, and the whole thing was a hoax, a horrible dream we'd wake in. Unbelievable Kim was waiting for him in the back, chilling in a white Kango, matching fur boots, lovely and never pressed. And the internets would be on fire to hear he was alive again, giving OG lessons to his kids, of which I was one. And we all were, the night we ran Chicago and met up with No Name and ate Calabrian chilies on square cut pizza and laughed through the Hennessy and Harold's. And how is someone gone if they still here? Every voice wrapped in some colloquialism he gave the culture, the Studs Terkel of hip-hop oral history. Reggie Osei, Ashe, is alive in a juiceria in Brooklyn somewhere, even if he isn't. Yeah, man. Yeah, so, you know, I think about Reg a lot, and salutes to his family and all the Combat Jack listeners and everybody, man, everyone of the culture who we've lost recently, and everyone who you know, now as we are losing people to this horrible plague that is upon us. But it's so good to convene. It's so good to come together to cipher and to build. Yeah, man.
Got to. We got to continue to show signs of life, and to continue to define why life is precious and why it's worth living. You know what I'm saying? It's our responsibility right now. So everybody out there, stay safe. Wash your doggone hands and call your mama, and you know what I'm saying, eat your kale. All right, and come rock with us. Keep rocking with the BreakBeat Poets.
Yeah, man. We will put out chapter 2. We will put out chapter 2 very soon, and so stay in tune, and stay in tune with all of what Haymarket's doing. Support the press, independent press, and independent ideas. It's my pleasure, y'all, to end with our house band tonight, and salutes to these gentlemen, a Chicago band, new soul purveyors, providers of a sound that will keep you moving. We're going to end with the Omais.
Hold on. All right. Can you hear me? Oh, shit. That's loud as hell. Can you hear me? No?
Put you down, brought me the world and still not seem to doubt it. Caught in the changes, trying to figure out. I'd be so foolish just to put you down. I'd be so foolish. Turning time into laughter with you. Something sweet every time, something new. Telling me we was made from the moon. Turning tide every time that we move. You brought the best of me. Thought you would always be the sweetest part of me. Could I be so? Put you down. Brought me the world and still I seem to doubt it. Caught in the changes, trying to figure out. I'd be so foolish just to put you down. I'd be so foolish, I know. could I put you down? Promise the world and still not seem to doubt it. Caught in the changes, trying to figure it out. Every cell phone is just to put you down. Every song. How could I? How could I?
We'll just play one more song. Thank you guys, every single person that. Wow. All right.
Showed me things I never knew. Laid my heart down and you picked it up. Laid down pieces of me. In the darkness, there's a furnace burning. In the sweat, there's something healing, pouring puddles in the palm. Thunder, I can feel it in your love. Picked up the pieces when you laid it down. In the dark, showed me things that I never knew. Laid my head down and you picked it up. Laid the pieces of me. When I was drowning in this world, wading water trying to keep my head up. Let the world knock, I can't hear them. Can't stop this sacred rhythm. In the darkness, I see freedom. Can you? In the dark, showed me things I never knew. Laid my heart down and you picked it up. Laid down pieces of me. In the dark, showed me things I never knew. Laid my heart down and you picked it up. Laid down pieces of me.
Yo, salutes to the Omais. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being in the building. This is the inaugural chapter 1 of the BreakBeat Poets Live. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Support Haymarket Books, support independent ideas and independent presses, and take care of one another, and we will see y'all soon. Peace. Peace.